Welcome to Road to Recovery.
So today we have with us Gil Fernandez. Gil is a professional financial advisor and also a structured settlement consultant. And what I want to do is give the listeners an idea of what a professional in that capacity does once a case is settled or before you're coming up to settle a case, what their role is. So first, Gil, if you could introduce yourself, give us a little bit about background about you so we can know who you are, what your qualifications are, and then we'll start getting into the meat of it.
So my name's Gil Fernandez, and I've been in the financial services industry for over 25 years. I'm one of the founding members of Edify Group. In Edify Group, we do structured settlement consulting, but I'm also a financial planner with Edify Financial Consulting Group. And we handle our individual clients as well as our corporate clients. Now, in reference to your specific question, what should someone know about structured settlements before a case or after a case?
Okay, so you use the word structured settlements, and sometimes we hear that coming up in a mediation or sometimes when the clients are about to settle the case. Can you tell us what is a structured settlement so clients and attorneys can understand what does it mean and what's the purpose of it?
A structured settlement is a financial instrument usually reserved for legal cases. It allows for a different way of distributing the settlement that can provide some benefits.
Okay, so what are the benefits of a structured settlement? Like, why would clients do it? Give us the benefits if you could.
Great question. So the first benefit, and probably one of the biggest ones, is that it provides tax advantages. So a settlement on a case is tax-free to the claimant. A structured settlement allows all payments to maintain that tax-free status. That would be the first. The second, everything is guaranteed in a structured settlement, meaning if we agree that the individual is going to receive $5,000 a month for the rest of their lives, it's going to be $5,000 a month for the rest of their lives. So it takes away market risk. It takes away longevity risk. You can't outlive something that's guaranteed for life. And like I said before, the guarantees and the tax preferred status are the key components.
Now, when you say it's guaranteed, what's it guaranteed by? Who's guaranteeing the payments? Is it like an annuity? What exactly is it so the viewers can understand?
So a structured settlement is an annuity, and it's backed by different insurance companies. It's a very small marketplace, so not every insurance company plays in that arena, but the ones that play in that arena are some of the stronger insurance companies in the United States, and they are providing the guarantees on those future payments.
So a lot of times when I'm at mediation or settling, the defense will come in with their structured settlement broker. Why is it that an attorney or a client would need to hire you if the defense has their own structured settlement broker? Tell us what you bring to the table that's different than what the defense brings.
Good question. So from a structured settlement perspective, that's what we do at Edify Group. Now, what you're talking about is the financial planning piece at Edify Financial Consulting. Because our main focus is not the structured settlement, our main focus is to make sure that our client, the individuals that you refer to us, are taken care of from the beginning of the process and in some cases for the balance of their lives. We're not only looking at what to do for the claimant as far as the proceeds of the settlement, but what are the other things that they need? Do they need potentially a trust? How much money should go into a structured settlement? There's pros and cons to a structured settlement. One of the cons is liquidity. So how much liquidity should we keep outside of a structured settlement? We handhold the client through the entire process, which includes us coordinating with accountants, attorneys, and sometimes investment advisors as well.
Okay. And then when you talked about liquidity, where the clients would need some liquidity, what are the limitations of a structured settlement? Let's say someone they settle the case today and 5 years from now, they got like a long-term 20-year structure and they wanted to break it. Is that something that they can do? Does it cost much? Give us some general answers so we know.
So that's a great example. And that's where the difference between someone that's just going to do the structured settlement piece and someone that's going to step in and not only handle that for them, but maybe do some financial planning. A structured settlement is an exchange of cash for future payments, whether it's monthly payments, lump sums over a period of time, what have you. In the example that you gave, a settlement comes in, payments for 20 years, and they want a lump sum in 5 years. That is not in the client's best interest. So having the proper balance between a structured settlement and cash assets is critical.
Okay. And so how do you determine for a client, one of your clients, or let's say if it's one of my clients that becomes your clients, how do you determine the appropriate amount for them to put in a structure and the appropriate amount of the payment and when to start the payment, whether it deals with an adult or a minor or someone who can't make decisions for themselves? So if you could tell us how you determine that amount and the payment amount.
So you kind of brought up a few different examples. So I'll break it up into two categories. The first category is, let's say it's a minor child or someone that is not able to make decisions for themselves. In those cases, we're dealing with different circumstances. We need to make sure that we structure it, no pun intended, in a way that they have income to cover all their expenses for as long as we need that income to exist. And in a lot of cases, it's for life. So we do a full-blown exam on what is it going to cost to house them? What's the potential medical exposures? What's the living expenses? What are the other things that we need to take care of? In some cases, again, if it's someone that's disabled because of the incident, do we need to modify the home, making it handicap accessible? Do we need special transportation for these individuals? Are they eligible for government benefits? And if there's a difference between what the government is able to provide and what they actually need, what's the cost of that? And our job is to analyze all of those things, create a budget, obviously with certain buffers, and see if we can tie the guaranteed payments to what the clients need on a monthly basis to sustain their life. That's for the individuals that, again, either are minors or can make decisions for themselves. For the other individuals, similar process, but a little bit more flexible. Still go through the budgeting process, still go through the cash flow process, but what are the other things that we need to take care of? What are the things that they want to do? In a lot of cases, we have to teach these individuals on how to manage these type of funds, because if they're not careful or if they don't have the right guidance, the money is going to leave as soon as it came. So having the right team around them is incredibly important.
Right. We hear that a lot, like with athletes, they get, 50 million, 100 million, and then by the time their career ends, they're broke. So a lot of times our clients get a large sum of money because they need it to take care of themselves the rest of their life. And I guess that's what you're talking about when you say that, planning for them, right? Is that what you're kind of giving them an idea?
Absolutely. Statistically speaking, winners of large settlements and lottery winners are in the same category when it comes to receiving money in X number of years and liquidating the entire amount within a very short period of time. Unfortunately, I've seen it, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it, and we've dealt with clients together, and we've actually seen it in real life, and it's a very sad thing when it's done.
Okay, yeah, and that's the reason we like the structure, to ensure that none of our clients go through or have that liquidity crisis. So they always have payments coming in on a monthly basis for the rest of their lives. But can you tell us a challenging case you had and how you resolved it, so people can get an idea of what it is that you're doing and, what are some of the issues that could come up and how you're resolving these things?
Okay, I'll give you one. I think it's a success story, but it definitely has some pitfalls in it. So I think it'll be a good example. So this particular case happened, I'd say 5 years ago. It was a fatality. So the parent of the child passed away due to an accident. There was an adult child and there was a minor child. When it came to the minor child, we had to put certain provisions in place. So in that case, we set up a specialized trust. There was also trauma because the child was in the car when it happened. So we needed to make sure that we had enough funds in it as far as guaranteed income that covered counseling for the child and covered all the expenses that the parent would have covered if they were still here. College education, room and board, all those kind of things. We also had to make sure that there was enough income to the surviving spouse so the standard of living wasn't impacted that greatly. As he grew up, he got into college, and the income of the special needs trust started increasing a little bit because that's the way we designed it with the Garnet Lineham years and years and years ago. Now, here's where the cautionary portion comes in. I mentioned earlier he had an older brother. The older brother decided not to do any structured settlement and decided to receive all the money up front. Well, the older brother is starting to ask his younger brother for help because he spent all his money. Because we set it up in a certain way in a trust, every single step of the process that he's in college now, we are still involved. I still talk to him probably on a monthly basis to make sure that he has everything that he needs and we have the right team around him to give him the counsel and the advice and sometimes the restraint to make sure he stays on track.
So even 5-6 years later, like you're talking about, you're still involved with the client and continue to stay involved?
For the individuals that engage us in financial planning under Edify Financial Consulting Group, we are there all the way for them as long as they want us around. So most of the clients that we have that are our long-term clients are those types of individuals that have some type of issue. We have others that, again, they've come to the realization that it's in their best interest to have the right team around them. So it's not only the financial planner, it's the accountant, it's the attorneys, and our office spearheads that entire process.
So you gave us a good example earlier where you mentioned where there were 2 survivors or 3 survivors because there was a surviving spouse and the 2 children, and one was an adult and one was a minor at the time. And one had ended up not doing a structure and basically has no money left. I guess they thought the money would never end. And then another one where when there's a minor, I know the courts require us to structure and protect the minor. And here it is, the minor is now an adult and they have their structure for the rest of their life. That's what I think I heard, right? And so that's a form of, so the structure is basically also a form of, guaranteed payments later on in life too. In this case, the example you gave us of a minor moving forward in life and having that, because they're not going to have their parent there to help them, they do have that comfort and some support the rest of their life. I think that's what you kind of communicated, right?
Yes, 100%. I wasn't as eloquent as you, but yes, that's the message I was trying to get across.
Okay. And then you also mentioned something about trusts, and that's for a different episode completely. But what steps do you take to ensure that compliance with the legal requirements in structured settlements when we're doing a structure? Like, I know there's some language that needs to go into release. What are the steps that you take? And then, we'll finish it off at that. So
for a structured settlement to preserve its tax preferred status, the funds need to go from the insured or in some cases self-pay directly to the structured settlement company. It cannot touch the hands of anyone else. So our office provides specific instructions and specific language that needs to be included in either the petition, and a petition is usually required when there's either a guardian ad litem, someone that can't make decisions on their own, or it's a minor child, or a release. The release is reserved for individuals that, again, are of age and don't have any mental issues that would preclude them from making their own decisions. In either case, our team works very, very closely with the law firm to make sure that we're providing everything that they need to get it so it can sail through the legal process and the money exchanges hands properly to make sure that we preserve all the benefits for the client.
So a practice pointer that I know, and Gil and I have worked on cases in the past, is if you're at a mediation or about to settle the case, if your client wants to do a structure, you've got to ensure, if you're the attorney, that money does not hit your trust account. Is that accurate, Gil?
That is 100% accurate. If it hits the trust account, you're going to have to do something that nobody wants to do, which is send the money back. We need to start from zero again. If it doesn't, it's a chain of custody issue. So if it goes anywhere but insurance company to insurance company or self-pay when it comes to paying settlements to insurance company, it no longer can be considered a structured settlement. So we would have to send all the funds back and start all over again. So getting the right team involved at the right time where it comes to education, not only for the attorneys, but also for the claimants. The claimants need to understand how this works, what the benefits, what the pros and cons are. And our job is, a big chunk of our job is education.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate the 411 and educating our listeners about structured settlements and financial planning and how structured settlements come into about when you're doing these personal injury cases. And just remember, if you're listening to this, you do get at least one pointer you can pick up from this is if you're doing a structure, make sure you get someone that knows how to handle a structure and is a financial planner as well. And then the other pointer would be never let that money touch your trust account, because then that structure would be invalid and all the benefits of a structure become invalid. So thank you again for coming on and sharing your wisdom and knowledge for our listeners and viewers. And hopefully they can take advantage of it. And then on the background, if they need to get in touch with you, your information is there. So we're here. Thank you again for your time. Look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you so much for your time, Sagi. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.